Hello, how are you? Actually, I guess May was indeed a tough month for many people, wasn't it? Well, if you are watching my YouTube right now, it means that you survived. Congratulations. It's good for you. I think it can say that we have cleared the first major hurdle for the year 2022. It has tendency for many people will be sick in May because of the energy of guy, tiger and the snake. I witnessed people getting sick and being hospitalized, or getting sick and retiring from work, or being forcibly fired from their companies because people criticize them, something like that. Many of the reasons for this are due to not being in the right place at the right time. Therefore, I believe that any mismatch in the environment will cause people to become ill and leave that environment compulsory with the energy of guy in May. Where this is part of the trend to clean up the wrong trend, including Kojo's no Ka this year. So if you feel that you are not in the right environment, it would be wise to leave as soon as possible and go with the flow. Guy energy assisting you. But this energy is not just only bad meaning. A good way of life also makes it possible for people like this 83 years old Japanese man to achieve feats of another dimension. So depending on the person, it can work for good or for bad. This old man is awesome. It may be a sign of a good life to have a dream, goal, or purpose at any age. Actually, after a half year of thinking, I have finally decided to drop a nuclear bomb too today. Because right now there are many hard-working British citizens who are suffering in poverty, unable to pay even their utility bills even though they work full-time due to the rising cost of living. I just felt this was not right at all. When I saw this, I knew I shouldn't remain silent. I mentioned before that I come from a family of samurai. This means that I am from a high status lineage when compared to the rest of society. Of course, there is no status system in Japan anymore, and I don't feel any status at all since born. So what does it mean to be of high status? That means that I believe people who has the 7 virtues. First, gi, righteousness, justice. Second, yu, courage, to do righteousness with courage, even if the other party is despicable. Third, jin, to have a compassionate and caring heart. Fourth, rei, courtesy. Fifth, makoto, sincerity, honesty. Sixth, meiyo, honor, to know shame and to live a virtuous life and to be honored. Seventh, chugi, loyalty, faithfulness. It is said that those 7 virtues are the most important element of all. Of course, I have not mastered all of them. As you can see, Tara, I'm like this way. However, I experienced them, 7 virtues, through an incident. Therefore, I would like to talk about that and go on to today's main topic, why England collapsing. Actually, under the influence of my father, I have been getting up at 5 a.m. to study since I was 3 years old. I have lived with that habit for about 20 years. So when I stepped outside, it was natural that I was better than average. I was nicknamed genius or something like that. In case you're wondering, I've never studied abroad in a language for English. Also, please be aware that it is impossible to learn to speak fluent English in the Japanese educational system. You have to know that the Japanese education system is not structured so that you cannot learn something just by going to school. However, from junior high school, I suddenly lost interest in studying and went to a high school where there were many stupid daughters and sons who had money but no brains. In other words, I tasted the bottom of life at the time. I realized that if I lived a lazy life, then I would fall into such a group of corrupt people. However, I was the top of the high school. It is scary, isn't it? So I even got a recommendation from the medical school of the university, which only the student can get from that stupid high school. But I was told that it would cost 30 million yen for admission. It is crazy, isn't it? Does it cost this much to enter a medical school in your country? So I'm not qualified anyway because I didn't have money. So I started to seriously work on entering a national university, which cost just around 500,000 yen in 1 year at the time. However, it was at the level that I could not talk about at all. When I took an external exam, I got a score of 10 out of 100. And the probability of being accepted to my first choice university was less than 10%. I was the bottom of the shit, and one day my family and I went to visit the graves of our ancestors during Ohigan, a week in March in Japan to honor our ancestors. My family is an old one, so we have 2 graves, one for a recently deceased family member and the other where a much older ancestor rests. At the grave of the older one, I foolishly prayed, "Please help me get into the university of my first choice." Technically, I was in the middle of that prayer. I didn't say the whole sentence. I couldn't say it all because I was hit by somebody invisible on the left cheek as hard as one cut. I fell down with my face blown off. My family members who were around me just said, what are you doing? Why falling down here? They seemed to think that I tripped over something and fell down. No, I was hit. That was not the part, but good. It hurt so much. I was hit by one of the ancestors of that old grave. But that one hit woke me up. And I started to study as if I had changed completely. And then, ta-da! This is how it turned out. How do you think? You think I'm shit. If I hadn't been hit at the time, my life would have been crazy in many ways, and whatever output I had would have been crazy. I would have fallen into the life where I couldn't even shoot at the middle of the shot, no matter how hard I tried. Oh, and of course I was accepted to my first choice national university. My great aunt, who had helped me a lot financially since high school, was very happy to tell me that I went to the same university as her brother. I was relieved that I was able to convert the money my great aunt spent on me into an investment instead of throwing it away. And thanks to my intense study at the time, I was able to build a theory that applied to completely different fields such as EN, 5 elements, or classic ballet, or whatever. By thoroughly embarking on science and mathematics, which I was not good at all by nature, I was also able to realize, for example, that this definition is wrong. Also, the use of the brain to construct definitions from zero was established at that time. And the style of thinking and constructing a theory from zero every time without using a definition was established in my brain at that time. In other words, the style is doubt everything, every definition. So what I'm trying to say is that this one punch contains all of them. It contains all 7 of these things. The energy of this punch is exactly the righteousness, courage, humanity, courtesy, sincerity, honor, and loyalty. At this time, I realized that I really come from a family of samurai through this strange incident. And this is what I mean by true kindness and the compassion that leads people to happiness. However, society is quite crazy, isn't it? I feel that we don't really understand what it means to be kind to others. It is not about being kind. It's just about making people feel good about themselves, isn't it? Isn't it just to make themselves look good? I see a lot of fake kindness. None of them are at the level of these 7 virtues. So today I'm going to represent this samurai bloodline and give you one punch with all my might. So some of you guys had better be prepared, especially England. What I'm going to say here is powerful enough to turn the heavens and the earth upside down in England. Okay? It will upset the heavens and the earth for those English people who mistakenly think they are of high status. Perhaps in the near future, there will always be people who will realize this value which I'm insisting on my YouTube. and this truth will come to the light. So let's go to today's topic, why is the UK falling apart? I just happened to stumble across an important good example that fits today's theme to talk about the UK, and I would like to talk about it from there. And you will see I'm not kidding at all, but super serious to reveal the truth. Have you seen this video? It's called Holded Man. This is a story of a man who lived in this condition for 28 years and finally found a doctor who was willing to operate on him. After about 4 surgeries in total, he was able to see forward and was able to leave the hospital and return home. I highly recommend that you take a look at this. What do you feel when you see this man? When I saw this, I instantly felt that he was apologizing. I felt the energy of an incredibly strong force pressing down his head from behind and saying, "Get your head down! You should apologize to me!" What I'm trying to say is that this family has a crazy amount of resentment from people. And it's not just one person's tiny subjective opinion that is holding a grudge, but the wrath of God Almighty as well. Screw you! Like that. It means that this ancestor has done something considerable. In other words, this man's ancestor did something so terrible to others that he suffered for 28 years and was unable to live a human life. And he died with a lot of resentment towards his ancestors. He died with a great deal of resentment toward his ancestors, thinking, "I will haunt them for generations to come." Yeah, I feel that tremendously strong feeling of remorse, However, God, or the inner law of the universe, will intervene as a court of law. So I guess the universe or God's suggestions would be, why don't you suffer for 28 years in the same way and call it even? Because every soul has a right to live and learn. You see, the spine represents the ancestor itself. The spinal cord is formed by catching the sound waves in the amniotic fluid from the surrounding environment, including the condition of the mother, as well as information from all the ancestral lineage up to the point. Therefore, the entire information on how the person's family lineage has been up to now is engraved on the spine. Therefore, if an ancestor has done something wrong, the spine will not stand up, A spine is made up of many layers of bones, but literally, the spine does not stand up because it has not accumulated virtues. So that's why I named my YouTube The Beautiful Backbone. This is another meaning and the coined word that I made up myself. In other words, this meaning is the descendant of virtuous ancestors. It means the person's backbone is beautiful. I have never explained it properly, so I thought this would be a good opportunity to explain it. Anyway, I just wanted to convey that the name represents the body, and the spine proves how the family has come this far. By the way, do I have to register this word officially as a trademark too? I have no idea, so yeah, if you know, please let me know. As I mentioned in a recent video about Amber Heard, people who deviate greatly from their destiny and deviate from the flow of prosperity choose justification in the most important aspects of their lives. In other words, in a nutshell, it's equal to no apology. I don't care what you choose to do. If you don't feel bad, that's fine. But if you are out of balance in the eyes of the universe, there will always be a time to pay the debt later. Just like this. So you can either pay it instantly right then and there, or you can pay it later as a family casualty. So which will you choose? Just that. If you choose justification, you will be like Amber Heard or like Carlos Ghosn and like a certain family now I'm going to tell you about. But by the time you pay them later, the casualty has been amplified considerably, and you may not be able to deal with it anymore, because the casualty has reached a level beyond human knowledge. Well, that is the main theme of today. Here's another example. This is the prophecy for the child of popular YouTuber. Some people say birth time doesn't matter, but no, it does mean something no matter how you look at it. Please look at it. Don't you think? So I'll put it out. Besides, it's very unique in bad way. And above all, I feel that the fact that even the time of birth was revealed has some deeper meaning. Just before conceiving this child, the YouTuber couple made a bad decision that was met with a great deal of public criticism. They literally chose B when they should have chosen A. From there, they took a tumble and ceased to be popular YouTubers. Their child was born as a result of this process. This is a particularly strong expression of the trend. People's anger is showing on this child's prophecy. What I'm trying to say is that the child's prophecy proves that the decision was still very wrong at the time. They should have apologized, not justified it. They have acknowledged their mistakes and recovered from them by taking actions that would earn people's trust. The universe suggests this. In other words, the cosmos court acknowledged that it was a causal relationship that they created by their wrong actions. What is called defeat is the case. Conversely, the energy that resents a superior person out of a selfish personal jealousy is not reflected in the other person's life. Such things are not reflected in prophecy. If someone is jealous and tries to interfere in that way, that is his or her own problem, and such a person will eventually be weeded out. In other words, the child proves that it is not like that. The universe is speaking to them. It's your fault. But the YouTubers, they themselves say, people complain about what we do. That's how they described it. So they don't even feel bad at all. So they have no idea why people are accusing them. So pay your debt. The universe has insisted through the child's prophecy. This is simply explained. You have caused a lot of trouble in the world, so spend the rest of your life giving back by doing something good for the society. In the process, some member of the family will develop an incurable disease or something like that. That is also expressed here. But the universe insists, pay your debt. That's what it means. Yeah, it's very strongly. So the anger of the people at the time is concentrated here at the child's prophecy as a result. You have got to be kidding me. You are so selfish. God. So it means that this child will experience such a situation again and again through big events and small events all over and over again, and will experience this energy like a layer in his life. What I'm trying to say is that as this family line has gone through twists, turns, and the energy has accumulated in layers, and the most prominent energy in this flow has come to light. In other words, this family lineage has chronically done things that people criticize. This is not a one-time thing. It means that the most prominent energy in the flow of the backbone that has been accumulated up to now has been reflected and visualized as a descendant's prophecy. So it means that the person's prophecy not only represents a person's personality, but also what the family has been doing and what kind of backbone it has. So I'm talking about something very significant on this YouTube, okay? I'm sure, but if I had extra time on this video, I'll talk about my prophecy as a comparison at the end of this video. I know many people are not interested in at all, so I'll just put a little bit at the very end. But not sure since I'm focused on somehow putting this video together in under 1 hour. Sorry. Now, in the light of everything I have just said, I'm now going to talk about why the UK is falling apart. I've talked about the UK before in this video, but the time I just cut out bits and pieces. This time I'm going to talk about the real big story behind the trend. So, if you are British, I hope you listen carefully. It is very important. I guess it concerns your future life plan. The trend of the UK's national power becoming fragile and collapsing is equal to the trend of the royal family not producing anyone with the ability and the competence to take over. In other words, there is no one to succeed the royal family, and this is the main reason for the collapse. In other words, it is synchronized because the British national prophecy thrives on the prophecy of the heirs to the throne at the time. You can stop the video and read it later if you like, or you can check Wikipedia if you'd like. The top of the UK is the royal family, right? In short, the reason is that the top is corrupt. The royal family is corrupt, so that's why the UK has been collapsing. This is the list of the heirs to the throne and their ranks. At first glance, you might think they are heirs, right? No, so I'm going to explain it, so please listen to me carefully. The most important axis from now on will be the eldest son family, William Kate, and his children, right? This eldest son and his wife, they have not been able to create a main big flow of heirs here, and this is the biggest problem. This is the biggest reason why the UK is falling apart and tilting. It is in a word that this marriage is not a decent one. This marriage is not valid from a cosmic. Here I would like to talk about what is the definition of a wife. What is a wife? Can anyone answer that? Wife is a woman who has the ability to solve problems that her husband's parents had at the time of her husband's birth. That is what we call wife. In other words, wife must have the ability to solve the problems that arose in the family when her husband was born to be a wife. In other words, if you get a person whose destiny is not operating at the stage of marriage as a wife, the family line will amplify the causality and perish. Now you are about to witness it. Then let's take a look at the prophecy of William's wife, Kate Middleton. Leaving aside my left brain knowledge of yin-yang and 5 elements, when I first took a quick look at this prophecy, a certain keyword came to my mind through the third eye, as in the area Holded man. What do you think it is? It came to me quickly as lawyer. For the record, I came up with lawyer with no knowledge of this person or her family, okay? This is not knowledge, but the pure sixth sense. I will tell you in case you are wondering, because this kind of thing is very important. I use both the parts that supplement with knowledge and the parts that I see with my third eye. Perhaps this prophecy energy want to insist something, or universe have something to say, or some ancestors have something to say. So please keep that in a corner for a moment, lawyer, okay? Let's go to the knowledge part. What is the most important thing in her prophecy? What do you think? Look, it goes from earth to metal to water, right? From bottom to top, like this. And it's symmetrical, right? This, you see, this is what came out in the image. In a nutshell, what this prophecy means is, I am what I am only when people trust me. It means that it is very important for Kate to gain trust from people in her life. The foundation of her life is to gain trust from all people. And it is only after this that she is able to her hard work and that she is able to establish herself and the world, the society at the same time. And she has both nudging and K. If you don't understand what I mean, please watch the previous video. I explained about nudging and K enough already. To sum up the meaning of her prophecy, it means to leave the family finances without any financial support from parents, become independent, stand on her own. Stand on her own. Stand on her own. Is that enough? Hone her abilities to the point of death and finally make Kanoto metal, and through that Kanoto metal with hard effort and hard study, do a job that will be appreciated by others, by the masses, by the society. To make use of the energy of her prophecy, she has got to constantly watch the masses and think about what's in it for people and work for them. In order to do such work that benefits the world, the society, she must study thoroughly from one end to the end. From one end to the other, hone her abilities until they are all encompassing, and only then can one make a contribution to society. I felt this energy as if person had memorized the entire 6 laws: constitutional law, civil law, criminal law, commercial law, civil procedure, criminal procedure, from end to end, and cover them all. And the energy of the nudging created by society, ER energy, and myself, day energy, to enclose it, like this. Seemed to me to represent the energy of a court decision that, once rendered, cannot be overturned. I'm fucking talking story, super important thing, okay? I'm not kidding at all. And that is the only way to live. This prophecy insisting so strongly. By the way, what does it mean that great amount of effort is required to make the destiny operational? It suggests, on the contrary, the Kate tendency, her tendency to depend on it, is potentially hidden. Okay? That's why it is insisted here on her prophecy with the nudging energy. Stand on your own, okay? And the abilities she has thoroughly honed and cultivated shine like jewels, and Kanoto's brilliance reflects herself and the society. She sees like a mirror. At that moment, for the first time, she will be glad to be alive. She will realize that the pain she has worked so hard to polish shines like a mirror, and that she is of use to society by its light. And because this Kanoto shines like a diamond, it will make people envy and trust her. And there will be many of who will want to be like her, like, oh, I will behave this way because she, who has worked so hard to hone her ability and do great work that contribute to society, behaves this way. Or I will dress exactly the same clothes like her because she, who has worked so hard to hone her ability and do such great jobs that contribute to society, dresses this way. My ability is not up to Kate's level, but if I study hard and work as hard as she does, I can be like her. I can contribute to society like her. So I will wear the clothes exactly she wears and work hard in my lowly life until then. This prophecy was going to have this kind of effect on society. And it says that by living this way, it is still possible to pay off the causal debt that has been passed down through her family line. Okay, now let's see if she was able to get her prophecy up in operation before the wedding day. Then I found this article. She had been working part-time after college, non-full-time employee, but stopped soon after a year and stayed with her parents after that. This is exactly what we call intent, the prophecy turning to in phenomenon, a negative turn. In other words, her fate is not operating. As I have said many times, this prophecy is to be independent without any financial support from parents. However, she has avoided the path without passing through it. Thus, even though she has been given the prophecy to hone her abilities and competence and contribute to society, she has avoided it instead of choosing the harder path and has fallen into dependence on her parents, which is called in transfer. And since she has nudging energy in transition with the repulsive energy with the dog and dragon, as I explained in the last video, we should never associate with people, organizations, or countries that have repulsive in transition energies in terms of yin and 5 elements. Your life will be destroyed together. She is exactly the same as Amber Heard because of the nudging energy in transfer. I have already explained it a lot in the former video, so please have a look. Actually, I happened to see this video the other day, which tells the story of Arthur Booth and Mindy Glazer, who attended the Miami Naturals Middle School, reuniting decades later in a Miami courtroom. Mindy as the honorable judge and Arthur as the defendant. I couldn't watch this anymore. Arthur said, breaking down as soon as he realized, she's that Mindy, the one I went to middle school with. This is a supplementary note, but this is exactly the energy of the rich in relationship with, which I explained last time. Do you remember? Case 1 and case 2 are mixed. First, case 1 energy is visualized in the court, and then their reunion energy turned to case 2 energy. That is really amazing. It is still important to feel these things with the 5 senses. There is a living study of yin and 5 elements. So if you'd like, please have a look at this video. In this one space, the courtroom, her life and his life were visualized as one big development and a big fall. But at the end of the trial, they hugged each other, happy to see each other again. She said, "You can find a job and start your life over. There is no one better than you." And he spoke this way, "She's my inspiration, my driving force. If the judge had not been her, I would not have thought of rehabilitating myself in this way." This is exactly the kind of power that I have been insisting on for a while now. The Kanoto, metal minus, is in the Kato's prophecy. She became a judge through hard work and diligent study in the right way. And look at yourself as an author. Don't you feel overwhelmed? Your honor, right? Just the fact that she's sitting there is compelling. You can start your life over. Each and every one of her words were convincing and influential. It makes him feel grateful. It has the power to instantly make him realize that he can do his best in life, that he can do his best for his family and for others. The energy that comes from a straightforward effort has the power to instantly make a person think, "Oh my God, what the hell was I doing?" and has the power to rehabilitate him in an instant. It's exactly the same energy of the ancestor who punched me earlier. That one punch rehabilitated me. It is exactly the same. The energy that flows from efforts cultivated and acquired in a straightforward manner has the power to change people from the bottom up. It doesn't matter if it has a physical body or not. It is compelling beyond time and space. So if Kate had been such a person at the stage of marriage, the karma, which coming on her family line, might not have been amplified further if the Kanoto was functioning for society. However, the energy of the prophecy, which was originally to study, work hard, make Kanoto, and contribute to society, has been replaced by misuse for herself, thus. So please know that this is called inten, in translation, in the yin-yang 5 elements. So where will this impact be? It comes out like this. It comes out in the phenomenon of children making fun of her. Because Kato is not truly respected by people, because Kate has not built a truly respected Kanoto by her ability and by her virtue. Because she has used this prophecy's energy as a defense to say and do what is safe so that people will not accuse her of doing so. Actually, in the dragon, on the far left, the day energy there are those 3 energies are included as her potential energy, hidden energy. From the top are Kinoto, wood minus, next Mizunoto, water minus, and Tsuchinoe, earth plus. This is where her true feelings are hidden. This also hides the true reason for her college education and her marriage. This says that it is not to study and become a person who can contribute to society. Mizunoto and Tsuchinoe are combinations that causes a phenomenon called kango. It is a phenomenon that changes the 5 elements of completely different nature. Mizunoto, water minus, is another herself, hidden essence herself. It causes the phenomenon of kango with the sports Tsuchinoe. And the fact that this is in the soul's potentiality means that she has been designing her life with Prince William quite consciously since high school, college, or so. Also, this Kango phenomenon creates Hinoe and Hinoto. The energy of fire means wealth to her. So, yeah, that's how she is, isn't it? She had somehow tried her best to marry Prince William and make a fortune. That is her effort. That is her effort on her life. This is the effort she has made in her life. In short, it just says that through the means of becoming his wife, I'm going to get the fortune and honor from people. And that is precisely her true nature. The prophecy says so, it's revealing. Thus, it's very major, severe problem that her goal of marrying a royal family and becoming his wife, since these precious times as a student when she has to work hard to build her own abilities. Conversely, the reason she stayed with her parents until she got married was because she had no other goals except to become his wife. So nothing comes out of the fact that she is contributing to society in her own capability before marriage. If it was my ancestor, what do you think my ancestor would say to Kate, who has these goals in school already? My ancestor definitely would say something like this. Don't make use of your prophecy energy in this way. What you're doing is exactly the bad usage of the prophecy. You are doing something that is absolutely forbidden, even though our efforts have given you such a wonderful prophecy. Shame on you! And my ancestor would hit Kate saying so. Because this is very similar energy when I was punched at the family tomb. And I know my ancestors who created the stream that was built through hard work and steady effort in a straightforward manner. Hate this lazy idiot. And since I have that blood in my body, my subconscious mind gets angry when I see people like this. And it is outrageous that such laziness is one of the factors in the future disintegration of the UK. Therefore, it is impossible for me to marry such an in-transition energy. I can subconsciously recognize that. No! My blood just say no! Because my blood is made up of the flow of my ancestors' legitimate effort. And the blood of these ancestors' hard work refuses to allow these foolish people to join my family line. As a result, I am protected from disaster. This is what we call a guardian deity, and I have it. But you should keep in mind that on the contrary, it is the imigami that is attached to her prophecy, not the king of guardian deity which work on me. Kinoto, this means her child. Here it is Prince Louis. This Kinoto, Prince Louis, is meant to be affected by Mizunoto, water minus. It means that Prince Louis will grow up by this water energy, Mizunoto, water minus. This means to be raised by her hidden other real Kate, Mizunoto. It is not the Kate that is publicly shown. In other words, there is a gap there. This is rainwater. The water source of Mizunoto is Kanoto, because it has not created the water source and wisdom Kanoto. This rainwater, Mizunoto, does not encompass the wisdom that it has acquired through its positive efforts. And Kinoto, Prince Louis, who grows up with water, Mizunoto, without wisdom, will act without wisdom. He will behave in a way that makes his parents look foolish and as if make fun of public. This is visualized by the Guy energies of the tiger and snake in May 2022, which I talked about at the beginning of this video. It is also the energy of this guy that makes person behave out of place or environment and standard. The problem is visualized with the snake and tiger guy energy because this guy energy is the energy of trouble with children. It is the energy of trouble with children and subordinates. The phenomenon that is visualized occurs when people who have these kind of troubles chronically in their daily life on the timing when the guy energy come into the environment like this way, May 2022. And this is exactly the reason why they did announce their move closer to Queen Elizabeth in May 2022, at the timing of Gaia energy in the environment. This is simply saying that they are moving because they have a lot of trouble with their children. In other words, it is no longer in Kate's control at all. My kids are acting defiant and disrespectful to me, annoying me, and I'm in a mess. So what can I do? That's the state Kate is in now. She said, I would raise my kids my way. But in reality, she can't because she does not establish kanoto before marriage and doesn't have the wisdom to raise them from the first place. Actually, she needs help from others. And since she has reached her breaking point, so that's why the article about their moving show up on the timing of Guy. In case you're wondering if they're moving with this energy, it will destroy their whole family. It's outrageous. Moving at a time like this suggests that Kate and William have been doing very badly. Their children will be more broken with this moving. The moving energy revealing how they come so far actually. That's the way it is. So the article said that the Queen's second son is the reason they are considering moving or some such nonsensical crap. But that's not true at all. So this person, Kate, tends to hide the real reason to behave. She uses those around her for good and hides her own inadequacies. Meanwhile, she's amplifying the problems and the causality. Pride is not used in this way. It is just called cynicism. The fact that she has inherited the causality means that Kate is obligated to pay. Therefore, there is some basis for the universe to demand, you must pay your karmic debt through her prophecy strongly, right? And therefore, I went back as far as could to find out where the origin of this causality came from. Probably no one will ever investigate and analyze such a thing in the past or forever, so this is a great discovery of the century. Oh, you are all very lucky. So I really hope you watching let your people know about this video and this truth will spread all over the world because my YouTube tells a tremendous important truth. I looked up all of her parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents' generations' prophecy. Then this is easy to understand. Clearly the causality of her prophecy comes from this side. In other words, it comes from her mother's side. So I tried to trace back as far as I could on her mother's side. But I was only able to trace back to her great-grandfather. The rest I cannot because I don't know the date of birth. Therefore, let's look at the prophecy for her great-grandfather on her mother's side, Stephen Charles Goldsmith, Kate's great-grandfather. His birthday is 1886, November 6th. His prophecy is characterized by the dog in the year and month, which is the zodiac sign of Tenchusat's no roof energy for him. And the dog form double hankai with horse. When the energy of Tenchusatsu is in the prophecy, it is called Shukumei Chusatsu, which means that the infinite energy is concentrated in these parts. In his case, it is in the year and the month, double. This is an unusual prophecy. If person has Shukumei Chusatsu like him, simply put, you leave the family finances and become independent. That is, you will become independent without any financial support from your parents. Stand on your own. Stand on your own. Stand on your own! And you will be able to let your fate operate by leaving the motherland and going far, far, far away. the fact that there are two dogs and those tensions as two dogs double hankai emphasizes that immensely. And it is further emphasized that you have to work hard from scratch on your own because Stephen doesn't have a guardian deity but Imigami, which is a negative energy for him, exactly as Kate is. And exactly like Kate, it is a prophecy that is expected to produce results in independent living. By the way, I felt very strong causality power, so I have visited 4 shrines in the past months to purify myself and to protect myself from their causalities. So don't worry. It's very well prepared. So who is he? I found this kind of article. Stephen Charles Goldsmith. By the time Stephen went to school at Wendell Park, they had moved to 52 Station Road, and on the 1901 census, the family can be found a little further west towards South Fall, living at 23 Featherstone Terrace. Stephen's father and brother John are listed as bricklayers, and Stephen is probably working alongside them, oh my god, as a general laborer. In other words, there are high possibility that Stephen was not independent of his father's household, right? Though this prophecy insisting so strongly that to leave the family lineage and go far, 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 far away, you know? I have talked about Hankai before with the prophecy of Johnny Depp, so I think that's good enough, right? What I'm trying to say is that it is impossible to live together in the presence of such powerful energy. He's not normal nerve to be able to ignore this extraordinary energy and continue to stay with his father. And the fact that this article has been preserved for later generations and now surfaced by me is quite important. Why do you think he lived with his father, though continuing to live with Stephen's father and his family's finances is a big distraction from Stephen's destiny? The reason why is that his father's influence was tremendously strong. I don't know what his father exactly did to make his fortune, but he made a tremendous amount of money. That is shown here. The Hinoe representing the father, and it's surrounded by the 3 earth energies. The fire to earth, fire to earth, fire to earth. Perhaps Stephen's father was a man of considerable influence. For example, when a person like this enters a certain space, the atmosphere of that space changes at once. He must have had such a strong influence that he would stand out and be recognized wherever he went. This is how this family's finances were made possible. Stephen's father's influence on the household and the family was tremendous. This is also evident in the day Stephen was married. Stephen's wife, Edith Eliza Chandra, her year energy, month energy, and the year energy she got married create Dai Hankai and Hankai. And her day energy and the month energy of the marriage creates nothing. What these energies are claiming is that they had a very good marriage from the outside, or so perceived from the outside. Parents, relatives, friends, and people around her would say that she had married someone from a very good family who had a great deal of money at first glance. She herself thought she had married someone from a good family with money, but in fact it wasn't, because Stefan is dependent on his father and not independent. Not genetic proving it. In my explanation of Amber Heard, I told you about the nudging prophecy being given as a test from the universe to see if she does not violate an area that she should never violate. Remember? Kate is exactly the same. Kate is given the nudging prophecy as a final test to see if she would not follow in the footsteps of her great-grandfather's footsteps. Do you see how it's the same type of prophecy as Stephen, her great-grandfather's? This is a strong message. Don't repeat the same thing warning. And what's the same thing? Kate's parents started a party goods company and they made a huge fortune, didn't they? It's exactly the same process, same flow. Stephen's father also made money and pretty much hoarded it in the family as his prophecy showing. In the process, however, Stephen's father has earned considerable resentment from society. It has emerged in ox, sheep, dog, and dragon in the vertical flow later. And Stephen, Kate's great-grandfather, was required to be completely independent to prevent him from being affected by the causal ki encompassed by the money. But he failed to do so. And Kate exactly did the same thing. In other words, history repeated itself twice. And Kate has violated the prohibition, which means that she has violated the greatest prohibition of all, living a life of dependence without honing her own abilities. Don't ever do that! Despite the fact that she is given the strongest warning imperative to do so from the universe. A life dependent on parents' money before marriage and a life dependent on the royal family after marriage. Her life is full of dependence without honing her abilities. So if we look at the kind of flow of family line on a slightly larger scale of the story, Ukraine, Amber Heard, and Carlos Ghosn are all repeating the same causality in the process to get to the point right now. And are pre-arranged by the universe to take a major in transition when the same thing is triggered. So it suggests that there is really no room for the same. Causation demands payment at the origin of the causation. So the universe demands payment from Ukraine, the mother of Russia. So unfortunately, it cannot be replaced by sympathy from others. Understanding this is the key to understanding the meaning of the above. I digress a bit, but I mention this because it is quite important. In other words, people who need help should be helped. But people like Amber Heard and your Ukraine, or who you cannot help in any way, are people who are in debt because of their own karma. So, yeah, people you can help, that is a sign of no karma, no causation. So she just need help. So this situation is not coming from the karma. But people you cannot help, that is a sign of their own karma. That difficult situation coming from their own causal debt, not paid by the person. So she is in the difficult situation which is arranged by the universe that other people cannot help. If person has not paid her causal debt and the universe is demanding payment, she is in a situation where you cannot help no matter how much you want to. It is obvious at a glance. In other words, to understand this kind of thing is to understand these 7 virtues, which I keep telling from the beginning of this video. Okay, back to the plot. And actually, Kate's soul, the Mizunoe Tatsu, is important in looking at the chemistry between Kate and William and the royal family. This Mizunoe Tatsu has actually been occurring in their prophecy for 3 consecutive generations: grandfather, mother, and Kate. 3 generations in a row. It's very important sign. At first, this Mizunoe Tatsu exists in the household in the center on grandfather's era. However, from the mother's generation, it became the soul It starts to express the soul. Kate is stamped with the obligation to pay for her family's causal debt by Mizunoe Tatsu as her soul. It's almost like that, the GPS for parody. You have history, don't forget. That's the message of Mizunoe Tatsu with vertical connections. And this Mizunoe Tatsu makes a rich relationship in vertical line with her and her mother and her grandfather. This reaching insisting that she has to pay for the karmic debt which coming from the vertical line from ancestors. This implies a triple amplification of the causality. Kate's grandfather, mother, and Kate can be read as a soul family that was formed from that causation in the first place, not love. So father, mother, and Kate make the energy of the Sankei. This simply means that the whole family is bad and fights constantly with mouth, with dirty words. Because society has a grudge against them and they have to pay for that, as I just explained with the example of some YouTuber's child's prophecy. It means that the energy to fight in the family is generated because people are resentful and ungrateful to them. In other words, their family history is a product of the troubles of mouth. The evils caused by their mouth have appeared in the form of layers over time and in the form of prophecy. So when I first saw her prophecy, I caught the energy of a lawyer instantly, right? It turned out that her paternal side of the family has been a lawyer for generations. In other words, her mother's side of the family has continued the family line with K, mouth disaster, and amplified its causality. And by marrying into a family of lawyers, the descendants should learn how to use mouth, how to use words correctly. A lawyer is in the business of guiding people to the right path with words, with mouth, right? That's it. That's why Kate's parents married. When a family that has made a disaster with mouth marries into a family of lawyers with right words, its offspring should be given enough wisdom to resolve the causality. And then this prophecy, Kate's prophecy, was born. And I instantly felt, oh, lawyer. Because this is the true intention of the universe and her ancestors. However, such intentions of the universe and her ancestors scattered in vain. Because she switched like this way. In Kate's case, this Mizunoe Tatsu has amplified the causality because she has not lived her destiny properly. And the Mizunoe Tatsu with its powerful evil energy that amplified this causality becomes nudging with the ear energy of Prince William. I have explained about the nudging relationship already extensively in a former video, right? What is her true purpose in marrying Prince William? Her true motive is like this. So it means that she has been bringing that contradiction to light more and more. And since it is nudging, it means that the end result will be the destruction of the royal family. It means annihilation. And the contradiction Kate created was reflected in her descendants. How was it reflected? She created the biggest contradiction in that her eldest son, Prince George, who will soon be the heir to the throne after Prince William, has a prophecy that includes shukumei chusatsu and nudging, which means that the fatal place by going far away without carrying on the royal family lineage. This means that if Prince George ascends the throne as heir, the royal family will collapse. And since the energy of the United Kingdom is provided by the energy of the prophecy of the heir to the throne at that time, it means that if Prince George succeeds to the throne, the country itself will collapse. And this is the reason why I keep expressing the anger toward Kate for 1 hour. As I explained earlier, a causal debt can only make a person's life go wrong. If that person doesn't pay it, the person will end up self-destructing. If that was the case, I would not bother making such a video. But in this case, however, the heir to the throne with Natchin and Massachusetts will take the throne and the country will collapse, which means that the England people will be sacrificed. The contradiction has grown that huge. The contradiction is now beyond human knowledge. Do you England people really understand this unusual situation with a sense of urgency? I don't think so. That's why I'm telling you. That's why I decided to convey about the truth which no one can recognize. I wrote the prediction really around 19 minutes 30 seconds. So yeah, please read it. In case you are wondering, the second son also has a repulsive energy and cannot inherit the throne. Prince Louis takes the throne, destruction simply occurs. Collapse occurs. Prince Charlotte was never destined to be king of her country in the first place, right? And her future position is the title of Princess Royal. Technically, she was born in a different role, right? And then nobody was there. It sounds like the title of a fiction novel, but this is not fiction. It is reality. I wanted to make you all aware of the reality. By the way, the oldest son, Prince George, and Kate are very conflicted. In terms of yin and 5 elements, they are probably the least friendly of the 3. Meaning that Kate's attitude to him like, hey, you should behave this way. Don't wear such casual, strange clothes, but you should wear this. Hey, don't behave like that. Don't do that way. Kind of things having an increasingly negative effect on him. George will be broken by Kate. This just telling so I let you know. Oh, this has been a bit long, more than I thought. But lastly, I'll talk about why this marriage doesn't work. Why did this marriage not produce an heir from the royal family's point of view? Diana is also the one who actually has an interned repulsive energy, Tenkokchichu, in her prophecy. I looked up her history before marriage and it turned out it is exactly the same as Kate. Although this prophecy required Diana to be independent and leave her parents, she was also living on her parents' money. This is called intent. So they repeated history twice. In other words, they repeated the process of marrying a woman in repulsive energy twice. In case you're wondering, all of these women have tremendous desire for honor. It is expressed in their prophecy. In other words, they were repeatedly marrying for honor without love. That's why there can be no successors, no heir, because there is no motive in the name of true love. A seed without the motive of love will not sprout. This whole process just telling so. By the way, the very reason that Diana was being chased by paparazzi to the point where paparazzi invade her daily life and no longer lead a normal life was because she didn't properly make use of the Tenkokchu energy, the repulsive energy with oxen sheep in her prophecy. In other words, it was because she was not independent before marriage. She didn't start living on her own with her own money, not her parents' money. She didn't effort to make a living with her own money. She didn't establish her job to make a living. In her case, the repulsive energies of the oxen sheep are interned energy, So the phenomenon broken people come into her life and break with them occurred. So let me end by telling you why Diana died in the accident. I thought it was important that energy was present on the day Prince Charles and Diana were married. Look, the Charles' spouse energy is Mizu no to U, and the wedding year Kano to Tori, Kano to Rooster are repulsive. This means spouse is broken. And Diana has Kino to sheep, Kino to Hitsuji on the left side as her day energy. And the wedding month is Kino to sheep. And Charles has Mizuno to bow, Mizuno to rabbit. Those energy make Daihankai, big affinity energy. But worst of all, Kano to rooster, Kano to tori. The rooster was present in this big affinity energy. And when the energy of the Kano to tori, the energy of repulsion is added to this great energy of affinity, Diana's Kino to sheep making reaching with wedding month energy. This means the amplification of the above energy. This reaching energy amplifies the energy of affinity expansion and repulsion. In other words, the energy of the above will be amplified and the death will be unparalleled in the history of the world. This is important, right? So please don't use this kind of energy to get married, sign any formal contract, buy a car or whatever, okay? That will cause huge accident or unpredictable and unusual accident could happen, okay? And lastly, wedding day, Tsuchinoe monkey and Prince Charles' Tsuchinoe mouse make Daihankai and makes full amount of water energy. That is not good because Prince Charles has too much water by nature, suggesting that the royal family will have a landslide after this marriage. And things exactly as it is right now. The wedding day, the date of the marriage already represented its future. The royal family got married women whose destiny were not operating twice, which caused the family line to disintegrate. In worse, it means the energy has set in motion a trend that has disintegrated the British nation itself. Unfortunately, I don't have the power to turn a casualty of death at the age of 16 into a 100-year sleep like the lilac fairy in Sleeping Beauty. Instead, I have one last thing to say to Queen Elizabeth for England people. Your Majesty, you have failed to see all these facts and now you are trying not only to bring down the royal family, but to bring down England itself. I believe that in many ways, you are very guilty of not seeing the truth and amplifying the causality. I feel that it is nonsense that the England people should shoulder the causal debt that you, royal family, have amplified. How do you feel? So I suggest that you should transfer your entire inheritance to the nation, to the England people. And I think it should be used to either prepare for the coming collapse or to educate the public with the true ability and wisdom to rebuild the country in the future in the field of education. The world has to know the truth. I burned up completely. 我が人生に悔いはなし。Thank you for watching. Bye bye.